Whoa, legendary!
Welcome to another video, guys. In the last video I showed you what are the top 5 decks for Legend this month, but those were well over the 10k dust mark, so today I will give you the top Hearthstone cheaper decks for the new season. Not everyone has tons of dust to spare, so if you're looking for a cool new deck to play without breaking the bank, then this video should be perfect for you. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you're new. We're closing in on the 5k subscribers mark and I'm really thankful to you guys for that. Now, let's get into it. Before I show you the decks, we need to clarify some things about them. We are just before a year's set rotation in Hearthstone, so right now it's the most expensive time to have a deck, with a total of 6 expansions in, plus the classic set. So by budget, I mean under 5k dust. Also, Galakronds shouldn't be added to the dust cost of these decks, since they were given for free for us, as well as for any new player that joins the game in the next 2 months. Leroy and maybe even Zilliax should have been a must-craft for any new player, so if the deck costs 6k but it has one of them, that would be budget in my book. With that out of the way, let's see the first deck. Token Druid. I have to say, I'm really enjoying this deck right now, and I'm spamming quite a lot of it on stream as well. It's just under 5k and right now it's in high tier 2. The games are very fun with it, and it's quite different from the old Token Druid from the past. It's very trend heavy and you can have a lot of crazy early turns with it, cheating out minions and card draws with the 2 defenders, the 2 Aeron Optics and maybe even Mulch Munchers. Dendrologists give you some nice added value and the Garden Gnomes also feel great on curve. Guru the Might Tree is the only legendary here, and to be honest, you can try the deck without him, but so far I enjoy him in the list. He gives you some nice added power for your mid game and late game, and it's a nice way to protect your face and your board since he is a 5/10 taunt. For the matchups, Warlock seems to be the worst for you, although from my experience, Shamans were the worst. Rogues seem to be a free win for me most of the time, but here the situation doesn't look the same. Pirate Warriors weren't that great for me, and Res Priest seemed to be a problem as well, but anything else would be fair game for you, so you shouldn't have troubles climbing with it. The Mulligan is very dependent on what you already have in hand, but Reinforcement, Shrew Baidier, Acorn Bearer and Landscaping should always be a keep for you. Dendrologist is also not a bad keep, but if you have some early game trends already, then he's a must keep as well. If you have Landscaping and a 1-drop, you can even keep Aeroponics and Garden Gnome, but it really comes down to what your hand already looks like. You should almost never keep any buffs in hand, since your main goal is to build a board first and buff it later. Is the deck worth the craft? Well, in my opinion, absolutely. It's super fun, the games aren't too slow, and it's at a reasonable price as well. Goro is a niche card, but like I said, you can try the deck without him, and see if you like it enough so you can invest into the legendary as well. Next up is Pirate Warrior. A lot of people were hyped about this deck before the expansion even hit, and it turned out to be a top tier meta deck indeed. The amount of steam it gets from Ankar, Sky Raider and Parachute Brigand is pretty amazing, and it was just what the deck needed to get back on top. Sky Barge adds some extra trading power, and the new Hoarding Pillager can be amazing as well. Games are pretty fast with it, and there are not too many bad matchups either. This particular version doesn't have much of a sample size, but you get the idea. The only bad matchup here seems to be Galakrond Warrior, which I showcased in my last video as well. Mech Paladin can also be a problem for you, but there are not too many of those on ladder anyway. Other than that, the stats are in your favor. For the Mulligan, Ankar, Sky Raider, Towncrier and Parachute Brigand should always be a keep for you. If you don't get Ankar, Livewire Lance can also work out for you. Bloodsail Raider and Southsea Deckhand are not too bad for you either, especially if you have the Brigand in hand already. And you can even keep Sky Barge for a solid turn-free body. In most other circumstances, any other card should be a dump. If you prefer a Galakrond Warrior instead, I've added a more budget-oriented version of it in the description. It's very smoke-oriented, so games are fast with it too, so take your pick. Pirate Warrior also seems pretty worth for the craft right now. You can complete it to its final form just by crafting Captain Greenskin, but the deck should work out fine for you even without it. Games are pretty fast and most matchups are green for you, so you should have no troubles climbing. Moving down to the infamous Face Hunter. The Face Destroyer is back and is the cheapest deck on this list. This deck emerged once more to save us from the Galakrond Shaman Plague. It was super effective against him and it even rose to tier 1 because of that in that meta. After the nerfs hit Shaman, that toned down the win rate of this deck as well, since that was one of the main reasons it had such a high win rate. Nowadays, it dropped down to low tier 2, but it's still winning a lot, and with a price like that, we can't really complain. The new expansion gave it some pretty cool tools like Face Stalker, Toxic Reinforcements, and Dwarven Sharpshooter. If you have Leroy, throw him into the mix as well, but the deck works fine without him too. The matchups are very polarized, to the point where you can insta-concede against the Quest Res Priest. Warriors aren't your friend either, but anything else should be above 50% for you. For the Mulligan, you always keep Face Stalker, Toxic Reinforcements, Dwarven Sharpshooter, and Eaglehorn Bow. Animal Companion is also not bad. Overall, the deck fell in power these last few days, but I think it would still be worth it for you to play around with it, if you're low on dust and you don't have a competitive deck. People are even hitting Legend with it, so why shouldn't you? Moving down to a more budget-friendly Mech Paladin. We talked about a different Mech Paladin from the last video with Glowstone Technicians and Kangor's Army, but this list is a lot faster and a bit cheaper too. It utilizes the new Gobo Glide tech and Skyclaw for some great early game, and it runs Explodinators for that extra bang. It costs over 5k, but it does run Snip Snap, which was free for most of us, and it does run Zilliax as well, so in reality it should feel a lot cheaper to craft. The deck relies on its good early and mid game, but it fizzles out most of the time if the game goes beyond that. For the matchups, your worst ones would be Gala Zoo, Gala Warrior, and Res Priest. Mage isn't seen too often anymore, so it shouldn't be a problem. You will be great against Pirate Warriors and Face Hunters, so if you're sick of those, then this deck would be pretty good for you. In the Mulligan, Crystallogy, Galvanizer, a good 1-drop, and Skyclaw should always be a keep for you. If you don't get Crystallogy, keeping more 1-drops and maybe even Micro Mummy could help. Snip Snap is also not a bad 3-drop for you to keep, since you will have something sticky for the board. The deck seems pretty decent, so if you have most of the cards, I think it would be worth it for you. Not sure how it's gonna fare in the next few weeks, since it's a pretty new deck and the meta is still quite wild, so it's up to you to decide. And the last deck on the list is again Galakrond Zoolock. This was the last deck from my last top 5 as well, but in this version, Krunks is cut out of it. When I played the deck last week, Krunks indeed felt a bit clunky, since you don't really want to drop a fair 6-drop on turn 6 with Zoo. Most of the time, we were pretty close to dying on turn 6, so dropping Krunks didn't really help us. So here, Leroy takes its place. Sure, it's a legendary for legendary trade-off, but like I said, any budget player should own Leroy, since it's a core card for so many budget decks. Everything else is pretty much the same like last time. Face Hunter and Galakrond Warrior are still your worst matchups, but anything else should be in the green for you. For the Mulligan, you still want your 1-drops and your early invoke cards. Everything else should be a dump. All in all, the deck is pretty solid and you should be able to climb a lot with it if you know what you're doing. It's up to you to decide if you prefer the Krunks or the Leroy version, since both of them are doing pretty well. If dust is an issue, you can't go wrong with Leroy. Anyway, this was my last video for 2019. Many more to come in 2020. I hope you climb a lot of ranks with these decks, and I hope you have a wonderful new year as well. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for watching. I'm Kris O Five, and I'll see you in my next video.